戦する側としては声も出したいし、応援団の人の今までやってきてくれはったことってやっぱり。
Stony, man.
Michael Bovak, Legal AF Judge McBurney. Fulton County just issued an order today, and I have it here in my hot little hands. I'm going to cover it in my hot take. Developments breaking in Fani Willis's Fulton County criminal prosecution of Donald Trump. Split screen here for a moment. Third week of the grand jury is meeting for Fani Willis, who has promised people as recently as an interview she gave yesterday to a local television station that she's going to be bringing her indictment against Donald Trump by the end of August. Fast forward, or roll the time machine backwards. Donald Trump has hated the special purpose grand jury and Fani Willis's work from the beginning. And he's tried to throw sand in the gears of anything they've tried to do, including the use of the special purpose grand jury, the 7 months of their work, the 75 witnesses that they listened to, the evidence that they produced, and the exhibits that were used. And he's wanted to not only quash that, which is what it sounds like, through a motion for quashal, but he's also trying to get rid of Fani Willis and McBurney, the judge, if he can. And so they've done multiple things at the same time, and I'm going to talk about the one that happened today in Fulton County, Georgia, putting it in context. Context is Donald Trump filed a motion with Judge McBurney in March to try to quash the special purpose grand jury work and report, to deny Fani Willis the ability to use it when she went across the street to the regular grand jury to present for an indictment and have to start all over again and not get the benefit of her 7 months of work with the special purpose grand jury, disqualify Fani Willis for some sort of bias or misconduct that's never been properly identified, and throw out McBurney while they're at it, and also never let the special purpose grand jury report itself see the light of day. Remember, we didn't hear the actual recommendations from the report. We only heard from the foreperson who took to the airwaves to talk about the fact that nobody will be surprised by what's in the report. But the report's been under lock and key, so
as the country digests the news of the superseding indictment in the classified documents case against Donald Trump, we're waiting for another shoe to drop, a third federal indictment, this time on charges related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Jack Smith's grand jury met on Thursday, but left for the day without an announcement of criminal charges, a move that came after Trump's lawyers met that morning with prosecutors and special counsel and were told to expect an indictment. But Trump took to social media to say in part that no indication of notice was given during the meeting and that he expects nothing to come down related to January 6th. We'll see if he's right soon enough. The grand jury is expected to meet again on Tuesday. Joining me now, Dave Ehrenberg, state attorney for Palm Beach County. Dave, welcome back to the show. So why do you think we haven't seen the all but probable January 6th indictment? Could Jack Smith be gathering more evidence before announcing charges?
Good morning, Jonathan. Yes, I think the grand jury is hearing additional evidence.
With his legal problems seemingly getting worse by the week, Donald Trump took the campaign trail over the weekend to rail against his growing list of perceived political enemies. For more, let's bring in NBC News senior Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Haig. Garrett, give us the latest.
Hey, Jonathan. Well, a campaign weekend, but a start of another indictment watch week with all eyes on the federal courthouse downtown, where grand jurors are expected back tomorrow and where another indictment could come as soon as this week. But through it all, we're seeing Donald Trump's legal woes grow, as is his lead in the Republican primary.
These are ridiculous indictments.
Donald Trump's legal battles in the spotlight and racking up costs. This morning, a key court appearance from a new Trump co-defendant, Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira. He, along with Trump and an aide, facing federal charges related to the former president's handling of classified documents after leaving the White House. Prosecutors say Mr. Trump asked de Oliveira to delete security camera footage at the estate to obstruct the investigation. Mr. Trump and his aide Walt Nauta pleaded not guilty to the original indictment last month.
It's a great badge of honor because I'm being indicted for you.
As the former president could face indictment this week over another case, his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. And it all comes at a price for Mr. Trump and his supporters. The Washington Post reporting that his political group spent more than $40 million on legal costs in the first half of 2023 to defend Trump, his advisors, and others, according to people familiar with the matter. But he remains the Republican frontrunner. Mr. Trump's fiercest Republican critic, 2024 rival Chris Christie, evoking the Godfather to mock the GOP frontrunner over the classified documents case.
It's pretty brazen. These guys were acting like the Corleones with no experience.
But two of Mr. Trump's Republican opponents say they're inclined to pardon him if he is convicted.
I don't want there to be all of this division over the fact that we have a president serving years in jail over a documents trial.
I would pardon him.
The former president now threatening fellow Republicans who don't share his appetite for revenge against President Biden and the Justice Department.
Any Republican that doesn't act on Democrat fraud should be immediately primaried and get out.
Some of the most interesting campaign reporting over the weekend that couldn't quite make it into that piece. My colleagues here at NBCnews.com reached out to 44 different former Trump cabinet officials over the course of the weekend. Some didn't get back to us, some had no comment. But of those 44, only four are publicly endorsing Donald Trump in 2024. Among them is former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. One of those who isn't endorsing him is former AG Bill Barr, who, when our colleagues asked about whether he...
One of the central ironies of Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents is that Trump himself was elected president after attacking Hillary Clinton over her handling of classified documents. And he accused Clinton of trying to cover it up by destroying evidence in an unorthodox way.
Hillary Clinton and her top aides knowingly destroyed evidence and covered up their actions. Her staff deleted all the emails and wiped it clean. She bleached her emails. Nobody even heard about it before. She bleached, which somebody said they never even heard of. Used chemical so that nobody will ever be able to see them. Who does this?
Now, to be clear, Hillary Clinton did not bleach her private email server, whatever that means. Trump appears to have confused the name of a software tool called BleachBit with the household cleaning product he would later promote as a cure for COVID. And the FBI never found any reason to believe Hillary Clinton tried to destroy evidence. But the point here is that the thing Trump falsely accused Hillary Clinton of doing is exactly what Jack Smith has just accused Donald Trump of doing: conspiring to wipe a private server in order to destroy evidence. It is the kind of projection that we have seen time and again from Donald Trump. He accused Hillary Clinton of corrupt business practices and misusing her charities. He accused Joe Biden of blackmailing the Ukrainian government and trying to steal an election. All things that Trump himself has been charged with, or sued over, or impeached for. Many of the things he accuses someone else of doing is something Trump himself has either done or might do. Or, as my colleague Mehdi Hassan puts it, every accusation is a confession. And nobody knows more about that side of Trump than my next guest. Michael Cohen is a former lawyer and fixer for President Trump. He is the host of the podcasts Mea Culpa and Political Beatdown, and the author of Revenge: How Donald Trump Weaponized the U.S. Department of Justice Against His Critics. Michael, thank you so much for joining me this Friday night.
Good to see you, Alex.
Sorry to take you away from dinner.
That's okay. For you, anything. I mean, this is, I think, a little bit more important than just dinner with the wife.
You know, we all have our standards. First of all, this indictment that we just got from Jack Smith, the superseding indictment, is, I think, really illustrative for the American public of a certain kind of behavior and mentality. To be sure, we've heard some of this behavior before, but the notion that Trump is lobbing these accusations at people for crimes that he himself may be guilty of, is that something, this notion of every accusation is a confession, is that something that you saw in your time with Mr. Trump?
With Donald, it's projection and deflection. Just take a look at my book as an example. Revenge.
how Donald Trump weaponized the United States Department of Justice against his critics.
Right.
Well, what is Donald Trump doing? He's using the second part of the title of my book. Well, what is Joe Biden administration doing to me? He's weaponizing the Department of Justice against me, right? Your favorite president. It's always about deflection and it's always about projection because he believes that everyone is as guilty and as underhanded as he. And so he wants to be first to the line. It's a real psychosis.
Yeah, it's a very specific psychology. And the other part of it is the almost mafia-like organization that you see detailed in this indictment. The notion that he has these lay people, as it were, the maintenance worker, the IT guy, the valet, all doing his bidding. And it is almost like they are doing this bidding out of a sense of loyalty or fear or both. That seems to be the organizing principle of the Trump organization as well. Is that a fair characterization?
It's also something I've talked about, that Donald Trump speaks in mob code. And yes, the sense of loyalty, or in organized crime it would be called omerta, code of silence. Either you